Welcome to the third episode of Series 88, everyone. This month, we have returning guest Craig Campbell to learn about the game he is designing called Cosmic Corsairs, a space fantasy game about using the power of the cosmos to fight the oppressive Triarchy. In today's episode, we conclude our character creation session, but before we get to that, we do have some calls to action coming up after the show. Here's what to expect.
Join us here after the show to hear about our next planned stream date, our Patreon, and how to leave a review for the show, and our patron thank yous as usual.
With all of that out of the way, enjoy the show, everyone.
Anchors for the character. In the game, anchors are essentially adjectives. They're generally positive adjectives that you'll select three. There's a list of a whole bunch of them. You can come up with other ones as well that describe your character. And anchors come into play in the game when we get to the mechanics stuff a little bit. They're reminders for you as far as like what you decided, as far as like your character's kind of personality and manner, right? But they also work into rules mechanics where in a given scene, if you play your character very specifically according to one of your anchors, you can gain a spirit, which is a currency. It's a set of points that you'll earn and use, and it's in the game primarily to allow you to gain spirit when the dice aren't falling the way that would allow you to gain spirit. Because sometimes the way you're rolling, how the dice roll out, you may be like, oh, I'm never gaining spirit because I keep rolling these other ways. And we'll talk about that when we get it. But and you can, each of your anchors, you can use one time per game session to gain spirit by just kind of playing in line with what you decided the character to be. And of course, these can change. People's personalities change. You may decide to change your anchors as your character develops over time.
How many did you say?
You get three.
Okay. All right. I picked three. Hold on. I lost one of them.
Anybody wants to jump in with theirs?
Okay. I have hopeful, idealistic, and passionate.
Ooh, nice. I went with creative, discreet, and warm.
And I went with clever, hopeful, and resourceful as kind of what he carries forward from having been an activist who's worked in a lot of different arms of activism. And so as I play my character, as each of you plays your character, you can kind of keep those in mind and use that to get yourself some spirit so that you don't get screwed out of gaining something when your dice are doing weird stuff. Okay, and so speaking of spirit, let's look at the mechanics and the tracks and the banks in the game. So we talked about you'll be making body, mind, charm, and heart checks. You gain advantage, which makes for an additional die based on having a skill. When you make a trait check, you'll have a target number, and we're rolling D10s for this. So your target number is typically going to be 6 through 10. And when you roll, you're looking to get one or more successes on those dice, one or more dice that hit or exceed the target number. In the game, those successes are called hits. So if you make a trait check and you get no hits, it means your character fails at the thing you were doing and you potentially suffer some sort of complication that the GM can impose. So something that kind of makes something a little more difficult or kind of shakes things up in the moment. So it's not just like, oh, you fail and now we move on. Like there's something narratively
boring.
that happens. And then you also mark one reroll, and you have a reroll track, which is 10 boxes long. The game allows you to also, it gives advice about, you can make your tracks shorter if you want. You can like gain rerolls, fill your reroll track faster, fill your other tracks faster. And there's discussions about how that affects gameplay in the book. But you mark a reroll, and when you fill that reroll track, you clear it, and you mark one box in your reroll bank. And that means you have now banked a reroll. You have one reroll in your pocket that you can use on any trait check at any point. And your reroll bank starts at 1. You have a maximum of 1. You can only have one reroll at a time. So you got to make sure you use it before you fill your reroll track again. And then as you advance your character, you'll be able to increase the size of your bank. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you score exactly one hit on the trait check, you succeed at the thing you're doing, and you mark 1 on your spirit track. And that was the spirit we were just talking about with anchors. Spirit is a currency that you will gain and spend for various reasons. Some channelings require you to spend spirit because they're a little more powerful than baseline channelings. Mm-hmm. So they're a little limited. You can spend a spirit to gain a die on a trait check one time. So that's the magic of the 60-10, right? So if you have a 4 in the trait and you gain 1 die from advantage and 1 die from spending a spirit, that's your 6 dice. That's your maximum 60-10 roll. And if you make a trait check and you get 2 or more hits on the check, you mark, you succeed at the thing you were doing. You gain what is called a boon, which is to say you do it better. You gain some benefit in the moment. And you mark 1 on your Nova track. Mm-hmm. And when you fill that Nova track, you mark 1 in your Nova bank. And we were talking earlier about how your Novas are limited in how quickly you can use them, how often you can use them. So by doing these, having very good trait checks with more successes, you're filling up that Nova track, mm-hmm. which is going to eventually earn you the chance to actually use a Nova. Same thing with the Nova bank as with the reroll bank. You start with 1 available. So if you fill that Nova bank, that 1 you have, and you don't use it before you fill your Nova track again, you lose it. You lose the benefit of it. So it encourages you to.
This is a game that really rewards you to just like do things. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Don't just like avoid every situation. Like you really are encouraged to
absolutely rewarded
try
for
things out.
Dice.
Yeah.
And you are, and everything too, if you look at how the system functions, like the core of it is, this is a game that rewards you for taking action and for making trait checks, and it's all building you toward Novas. Mm-hmm. If you're gaining rerolls, it's so that you can make make your trait check again, so you can potentially get 2 or more hits, so you can mark on Nova. If you're gaining spirit, you're spending that spirit to roll an additional die, so that you can get more successes and you can mark on your Nova track. So everything kind of keeps you moving toward making sure that you're going to get a chance to use a Nova again, so that you don't stall out. Yeah. And if you do stall out on being able to get to a Nova, it's probably because you just weren't doing stuff. You weren't making checks. So that's the basics of that.
Okay.
So we all starting level characters with 3 spirit.
Okay.
And our reroll bank and our Nova bank are empty. Currently, we have no reroll, nothing marked on our reroll track or our Nova track. If you were playing a one-shot game of this, you probably want to, maybe start characters a little higher just to give them more cool stuff to play with, and give some people some reroll and Nova and spirit, mm-hmm. so that way people have a chance of like actually filling their reroll track during the game session. If it's like a one-shot or a short, 2 or 3 episode campaign, right?
Yeah.
But we're running on the assumption that this is going to be a long-term campaign, and we're starting at the baseline. And now we get into your traits. Now, everything from this point forward is, maybe not everything, but a lot of it is pretty game mechanic oriented.
Okay.
So amongst your 4 traits, body, mind, charm, and heart, you have 8 points to distribute. every trait must have at least a 1, and no trait may have more than 3. There will be ways. Advancement does allow you to increase your traits as you go, so you can get to that 4. But as a starting level character, you never start with a 4, which is the normal maximum.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Got mine.
What do you got?
So I went with 1 for body, 2 for mind, 3 for charm, and 2 for heart.
That makes a great deal of sense for a performer.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure your charm is good so you can make those performance checks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to go 2-2-2-2.
Oh, there you go.
Because I'm the background of the character is in having done a lot of different things. So like I felt like jack of all trades, kind of like being somewhat competent at a lot of different things would help. And then that also doesn't hamstring by making his body too low. So he can be actually a halfway decent combatant. Because I do need to build toward that. Like I imagine this character raising his body to 3 as soon as I have the opportunity to raise a trait, just to keep him in the direction of a combatant. And spending points on skill, spending character points to gain additional skills to get to various combat skills and kind of make that work really well. So that's kind of where he would probably go on 2nd and 3rd level.
I am really I only put 1 in charm.
Okay.
Which is really hard for me. It's really hard for me. I always that's just what I play. But I went 2-2-1-3. So 2 in body, 2 in mind, 1 in charm, and 3 in heart.
Wow.
A lot of heart. A lot of heart. Heart makes for one of my favorite things I like using heart for as a GM is when you try something gutsy, something that looks dangerous, you can just you can just guts it out. Like you can just, it takes a lot of heart to try that. Like I'll even be like, even though it's an attack, like this is like you're the little person running up to this gigantic combatant. And the first time you dive in there before you even know if you can hold your own, I'll be like, make it as a heart check.
Yeah.
The first time.
Yeah, I
until
feel
you
like that kind of just fits with my being immune to being frightened.
Yeah.
It's very much
absolutely.
I just, I believe it, so it must be true.
Yep. Right. And then we go with skills, which you will need to find the list of skills to choose from there.
Page 33.
Page 33. There's about 18 or so, I think, skills. And you get 3 to start with. Fear not, for they are cheap to buy down the road. All right. So again, starting from a baseline of I'm brand new to this whole thing. So your skills are probably going to reflect more the what your character's history has been. And, maybe all your skills will reflect that, but maybe one of them will be this is the thing I just learned how to do because now I'm changing my life and I'm going to fight back. So,
okay. I've got my 3 skills.
Ooh, look at you.
I know.
I have mine as well.
I had to look back on the wording of my signature skill, which is very helpful that it points out that it works on a skill that you possess. So that had me not asking the question, do I get an extra special skill just for that one? But I do not. So, in that case, performance was one of them, right?
Right.
That's my signature skill.
Absolutely makes sense.
So I already had one in the bank anyway. But then I was like, okay, well, artsy, effectively podcaster, culture was another skill that made a lot of sense for them. And then electronics, because I think they were big on figuring out how to get the word out without getting caught and using electronics and whatnot to do that.
Yep. And keeping in mind that you can make any type of trait check at all, even if you don't have the skill. This is not one of a system where, the skill is required. It just gives adds, you're just better.
I think I'm going to go with culture, melee combat,
Ooh.
and perception.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I went with diplomacy and insight as kind of the his activist background of rallying people and leading, and then also kind of understanding what people want and need and how to manipulate, understanding what how they can deal with people with insight. And then because we're kind of getting into, he's probably gotten into some scuffles even before he decided to really kind of pick up a weapon. So I went with melee combat, partly as a background thing, but also because this is the point where he's decided I'm going to learn how to use this. And, we're going to have to actually get up in somebody's face occasionally because talking isn't working, at least not for me anymore.
Definitely. Yeah, I just picture my character as somebody who's been in a couple fist fights.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually you learn how to not, get hit and also how to punch people in the face.
And then now we remember your affinity? You had time to let that kind of percolate and brew. And now we've figured out some skills and you have an idea of, of your character's anchors, their kind of personality quirks. Now we get to channelings. And this is the point in the character creation where it could get a little more time intensive for certain types of players because there's a lot of things to potentially choose from. You will be spending 6 character points on channelings chosen from your affinity channeling list. Each affinity has a list of channelings that are specific to them, as well as you can choose from the general channeling list, which is several pages after. It is several pages long and it's after the affinities, but each of the general channelings is broken out into categories. So you can kind of hone in on what you're looking for. So if you want to be doing attack stuff, here's 5 channelings that are specifically attack oriented. If you want to be my character's all about knowledge, here's channelings that get you knowledge, allow you to manipulate knowledge or learn things. So you can kind of pick a direction to go. So you're not you're not reading from the top of the list to the bottom, trying to figure out what's available. So in your general list, you have attack, defense and healing are kind of grouped together. Elements, different types of energy and so forth are part of one category. Knowledge, mind. There's one called meta channelings, which is when you read it, it'll start to make a little more sense. There's anti-channel, which is like a counter spell. You can stop somebody else's channeling from happening. So it's things that manipulate channelings themselves. There's movement channelings, sense channelings, and then transformation channelings.
And we have 6 points total.
And you have 6 points to spend, and the number in parentheses after each one is how much they cost. When you're in your, you'll see that in your affinity, when you get to the Nova list, the Novas don't have a number because a Nova's a Nova. When you advance your character, you gain a Nova and you just choose a Nova. There's not points associated with them, but all your channelings are points because some of them are more, and they range between 1 and 3. So you've got 6 points to spend. You may only gain 2 channelings, but you could gain as many as 6 if you did nothing but 1 point channelings. And there's no rule that says you have to take any from your cosmic affinity list. You can take all general channelings if you want to. It's just that the affinity channelings are unique to you and nobody else has access to those if other affinities don't.
This does not pick with vibe with where I spent my points earlier, but I don't even care. We are not power gaming here. We are going off vibes.
Yeah, just vibes.
Pure vibes. I like this. 1 more point. Yeah, we're just really going for vibes here. Okay. I have mine all picked out, I think.
As do I.
Think probably my last 2 points will go there. Just want to double check. Okay, I've got all of my affinity channelings as well, or all my channelings.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right.
So what did you go with?
Tell us. Tell us.
Okay, so for mine, for my affinity channelings, which is the Enigma, I went with Hasten, which costs 2 points, and that was you spend a spirit and you or one target within your zone gains +2 speed until the end of the scene. I thought that was cool, and since my fly speed is equal to my speed, I can go faster in both ways.
Nice.
The other affinity channeling that I chose was Hidden Data. This lets me encrypt data in a device to be inaccessible without a passcode. People can overcome these protections with a mind check versus your discipline. And if you spend 1 spirit while encrypting it, the mind check is a TN of 9, which that seems impressive.
Yeah.
And then for my non-affinity channelings, I went with Charming Words, which lets me make a charm check versus discipline at a range of 1. And the target who can hear me can consider me friendly and gains the charmed condition. And then my last one was Read the Mind, make a mind check versus discipline and hear the surface thoughts of a target creature within range of 1. So I think that would help. I mean, like, this character feels like a standard face character, so to speak, right? Behind the screen's face character almost. So I think all of that kind of played into it a bit. Mm-hmm. So that's all I got.
All right. So for my affinity channelings, I only picked 1. I picked Aether Mold. Spend 1 spirit. You craft a simple one-handed tool or non-weapon object out of raw aether. The object created are always generic, simple versions of the object and cannot mimic unique ones. I know I can already pull things I want out of my pockets, but I just, I like the DIY spirit of being able to just mold things too. And then for my other ones, I picked Rile the Passions. Spend 1 spirit, make a charm check. I have very low charm. Versus discipline at range 0 to cause a target to experience either extreme revulsion or extreme affection for someone or something they can see. I just like the idea of, being able to really just make people love or hate things. And I also love the idea of what would happen if I failed to do that. Because I think it would be funny. I picked Energy Sap, spend 1 spirit and make a heart check. I do have good heart. Versus the defense to cause a target within range 0 to become extremely tired and gain the exhausted condition. I love the idea of this idealistic, passionate punk just being like, let me tell you, I read Karl Marx and
here's my dissertation.
I like the idea of just watching the life drain from
it's
people.
that meme of like the boyfriend that's explaining the thing to the girlfriend and she's just looking like, oh
yes, exactly. And I love the idea that like that is a skill that I can and then I also picked Color the Skin. You can change your hair color, eye color, skin tone, including tattoos and clothing and gear at will.
That's good stuff.
Because was that helpful to what we're going to be doing? I don't know, but it seemed cool.
And you can certainly house rule it as much as you want, but it's also built into the game that at any given level, you can switch out a channeling for another channeling of the same value.
Oh.
So
awesome.
like if the campaign changes focus and you suddenly find like, oh, this channeling just isn't as useful anymore, you can get something else.
Yeah.
Or if you decide like this channeling just doesn't make sense for my character now that, the way they are, the way I finally played them.
Yeah.
So for me, I kind of went heavy on the combat thing because, he's had enough.
Neither of us did.
I can't stands. It's all that I can stands and I can't stands no more. And so for affinity channelings, I took focused fighting, which is in melee. If you are facing your foe 1-on-1, you deal +1 damage on attacks. And also swing through, which is if you hit a target in combat and kill them, you may make another attack on the same type versus another target adjacent to you. You can only do this once per turn. So that's your minion killer. Like if your character gets surrounded by multiple foes, you can kind of clear them out more quickly. And then for general channelings, I took Rebalance the Form. I spend a spirit to remove the blinded, deafened, exhausted, or restrained condition from a target within range 1.
Mm.
So getting rid of those physical conditions. And then Wellspring, which I can spend 1 spirit to gain body plus heart. My scores added together, temporary health. So I can always start a combat. If I've got the spirit, I can start a combat off with additional health. And the temporary health gets, eaten away before you start losing your actual health.
Yeah.
Or until the end of the scene. So basically allows me to increase my health by 4 right at the beginning of the scene if I think I'm going to need it.
Yeah.
So those are channeling. So I think we ended up with I had 4, Ryan 4, Amelia, did you end up with 3 or 4? 4. So we all took like 1 and 2, 1 and 2. So yeah, you've got a lot of variety of a lot of things that you can do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Now next on the list is, as it's written, is gear. Although we can dive into that. I think there's really only 2 things left other than like the name, catching up on the name thing, is gear and the calculations. There are calculations that stats that get calculated. Do we want to hit that real quick first, since we're kind of in game mechanics mode?
Yeah, might as well.
Why not?
So the one thing that we've alluded to, we haven't written anything down, is everybody has a speed of 1. So you can kind of start with that, unless you took something that increases your speed. And that's in zones. And for those people listening who, if you don't know what the zone thing, there's a number of different RPGs out there that use them. Instead of keeping track of feet and inches and, radius of spheres and all this sort of thing, you break up your space into zones, which is like the size of a large room. It can be a little bit flexible. It's, like if we're all in this, grand hallway or this grand hall together, that might be 2 zones, because it's really big. But if it's a smaller little hovel of a house, it might only be 1 zone total. But you might not have line of sight because there's walls in the way. A starship might have 3 zones of the 4, the midship and aft. As far as the deck goes. And then you also track zones like between things. So there might be 3 empty zones between 2 starships.
Sure.
And then you maneuver the ships and now you're closer. So that's what your speed is. And then we have defense, discipline, and health. Defense is equal to your body plus your heart divided by 2, round down. In this game, everything rounds down unless it tells you otherwise. Okay. So body plus heart, the average of the body plus heart, right? Body plus heart divided by 2, round down, plus 5. And your defense is the target number to hit you in physical combat.
Okay. 5 or 7.
As do I. And there's only so much variation you're going to see at starting level characters, because your traits are only 1 to 3. Your traits are limited, and you haven't used channelings to bump traits or things like that. So there's ways to make all those numbers change quite a bit by using channelings and advancing characters and so forth, or creating characters that have very disparate trait scores. So if you've got 2 traits that are very high and 2 traits that are very low, you can end up with a very different kind of situation. Discipline is the same kind of deal, but with mind and charm. And discipline is, so it's the average of your mind and charm, rounded down, plus 5. And your discipline is the target number for you to hit you with, mental effects, to make psychic attacks on you. There aren't a lot of those in Cosmic Corsairs, but there will be more of that in other games. So we've actually already seen, we've got Ryan's got you both got a psychic attack, or at least 1. I think, Ryan, did you end up with 2?
I think I have 2. Yeah.
So that's defense and discipline. And then your health is your body plus your heart plus 10. And those are, in other games that might be called hit points.
Body plus heart.
And you have that many because you're a cosmic. In the game, there are also elites, which are characters that are equally tough and formidable as cosmics, although they won't have cosmic abilities. So they'll have more health like that. Most people that you run into in the game are regulars, and they only have their heart or their body score, whichever is higher. So they may only have 2, 3, maybe 4 health.
Ooh. So I have 15.
So I've got 14 because I'm 2. My traits are all. Although that 14 can become 18 at the beginning of a fight with my temporary.
Oh, wow.
Health.
Yeah, my health is 13.
Because you went heavy on mind.
Yes, I did.
So let's see. And then we talked speed, and we talked. Get back to the list to make sure I didn't miss anything. Speed, the 3 calculations, and then there's gear.
All right.
And gear is in chapter 8. Your character starts with a coin rating of 2. And the way gear and everything here and money works in the game is similar to your trait checks. Instead of keeping track of every little credit that your character has, you have a coin rating, which is kind of your relative level of wealth. And it ranges between 0 and 4, akin to a trait. So you start with a 2, which is to say, if you were going to buy something in game, you'll roll 2 dice and compare to a target number for the thing you're trying to buy. The higher the target number, the more expensive the item is. And there's rules for grouping things together and making mass purchases and stuff like that. So rather than keeping track of a whole bunch of numbers, it keeps things a little more abstract. And if you make big purchases, you can guarantee yourself the purchase, but then you eat up your cash reserve and your coin score goes down. So you have to find a way to make some money back so that your coin score can come back up. But for the purposes of character creation, it's much simplified. You won't be making any checks. You just start with 10. Your coin rating is set at 2, and you start by selecting 10 pieces of gear with a coin target number of 6 or less. This is your starting equipment, and not including clothing. You start with whatever clothing your character wants to be having. So you can pick things like that, and then there are ways to start with more gear, but it depletes your coin rating, your starting coin. So you can get more expensive things and more of them, but it's going to knock your coin from 2 down to 1 and maybe even down to 0 if you decide to do that. So we could keep it simple and just have everybody start with 10 pieces and keep their coin at 2. Or if you want to dig a little deeper, if there's something that is more expensive that you have your heart set on, you could do that. Like, for example, having a hover car is expensive.
This is fun. Are there things, because I feel like there are in most games, that you should probably have that?
Well, what I would say that for a particular type of campaign, yes, probably. I'm not sure how to answer that question. If you want to ask, I can tell you the gear section is broken down into a bunch of tables, and there are different categories. So clothing, databases, drones, electronics, food and drink, lodging, luxuries, starship goods. We're not going to worry about the starship right at the moment. Survival gear, tools.
So I think back to when we were doing Shadow Dark, and it was it's dark. If you do not buy a torch, you are in the dark. This is one of those if I don't get food of some kind, am I going to starve to death? Or you know what I mean?
Right. Do you need to carry your food around on you? Well, no, because you've got a coin rating where you can buy a meal. But in a game like this, I'd say if you looked at the electronics, I think a comm link is probably useful. Yeah. That's your your communicator. That's your either handheld or wrist held or headset communication device. You might want to have a laptop or a tablet. For some computing, you might want to have an AV recorder, which is a camera and audio recorder. If you want to be knowledge based kind of stuff, it's going to cost. There's only a few that are cheap enough to buy out of the first grouping, and there's databases which gives you advantage on looking up information. But you also have survival gear. Yeah. Which, binocs, which is basically binoculars, if you think you're going to get in trouble, there's a med pack. There's, you're going to break into some place. You got a grapple gun. If you want to have light, you've got glow sticks and emergency flares. I'm
actually intrigued about the indeterminate items. That's interesting. Like the things in this list are interesting to me. It's like bribe a Triarchy officer. Like that's like in the items like you've set out. You're like, it costs between this much and this much to bribe somebody. Like,
yeah.
That's really fun.
It's just a guideline, right?
Yeah. But I like that you set it out so like, like as a GM, you can look at it and be like, oh, okay, like roughly, like based on like the security level of, whoever you're trying to bribe or whatever, that like you've set a range for that. That like, I don't know. I just think that's fun that you put
stolen
that in there.
Triarchy uniform.
Yeah. Restricted code to enter an armory. Like that's extremely expensive, actually. It turns out.
And if you're looking at weapons, the cost of the weapon is listed here, but the stats for the weapon is back in the rules section. There's a table that lists what the stats are. And you don't necessarily even need to go look that up. You just decide, well, my character has a laser pistol and that's good enough. As far as like, we're just creating this because this would be one of these things that we're going through a lot of stuff. But like, if we were actually going to play a game, I'm sure you would each revisit this before you played and you kind of flesh out this or flesh out that or make a couple changes or whatever it is you wanted to do. So let's see what else to start with something interesting. A couple like flavor things.
What do the asterisks mean next to some of the TNs for coin TNs?
The asterisk means that it is restricted in some way. And so when you're making a check to get it, you need to get at least 2 hits.
Interesting.
So you're rolling the dice to get the thing, and normally you just need to hit the target number, right? You need at least one of the dice hits the target number, you're good, but you need 2 of them.
So for
to get the restricted thing. Or, you need the GM might remove that requirement if you had built up a contact that could get you that or whatever. But just like as a baseline, it makes it a little more difficult to get that thing.
Okay, so if I chose one of those as my starting gear, that should be okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I kept it simple to be just like you started with the thing. But it means you have in your possession a restricted item, which comes with its own concerns.
That makes sense, yeah. Just need one more item to fully finish up here. And you know what? I think I'll use that. Why not? Okay. I opted to spend a coin to gain 5 more pieces of gear with a TN of 8 or lower. Because I thought that sounded fun for my character.
Sure.
All right.
So I went with a couple of databases, cultural and electronics. Just to kind of bolster my areas of expertise a bit. I've got like a bunch of electronic tech, an AV recorder, chrono watch, laptop, electronic toolkit, comlink, holo projector, and a voice amplifier. So all sorts of things to help out with what I do. And I also chose a musical instrument as my last item on the base items. And then spent a little bit of coin to gain 5 more items of a higher quality. So I got a holo recorder, a signal jammer, an encrypted stick drive, a hover cycle, and a holo game.
You.
Yeah. I really like the thought of this character with a hover cycle. That sounds really cool. Even though they can fly, but you got to look stylish sometimes too.
Well, and it's a way to carry a bunch of stuff and another person. And I ended up I went kind of standard adventuring gear, right? He's starting with a sword and a laser pistol, a comlink, a tablet, night goggles, a grapple gun, a hand lamp, a rucksack to keep all of his stuff in, steel cord, which is basically just super strong rope, and also a holo game so that he can actually entertain himself when he's recovering from whatever injuries he might end up with.
Nice.
I have an AV recorder, a comm link. I did get a dagger because it sounded cool. Library database, Magna boots because they look cool, I'm sure. Med pack, rucksack, tablet, a mechanical toolkit. Do I have any skills to be able to use this? No, but that's okay. And then also a voice amplifier, because how else am I going to annoy people into being tired if they can't hear my voice?
Oh, and there we go.
That's good.
You have starting characters.
Oh, we need names still.
Yeah, that's true.
We are at that point.
My Ikrax names tend to have hard consonants and glottal stops. So he's Plukchuk. Plukchuk.
Love it.
Sounds like there aren't any vowels in there the way you say it. And I'm sure that there will be people who mispronounce that, and I don't know yet for sure if he will be angered by that. Come on, it's not that hard to say, right?
Okay. So I named my character Parasola Lophos. After the
that is a very Skrell name.
Parasoro Lophos, which is a pretty cool dinosaur that has a little crested head thing that looks like a mohawk.
Nice.
All right. And I went with Alianza Torin.
For your mixed heritage. Alianza sounds very much like a Skrell name. Could be a Orin name as well, but it has that flow. One of the things about the description for the Skrell names is that they sound a little melodic. Multiple syllables.
Very cool.
And that is that's the beginning of our crew.
Oh.
If there were a few other characters, we might round out to some other broad bases of skills, kind of, get a little bit of this, a little bit of that. When you play, you don't necessarily have to assign that my character is the captain or your character is the pilot or whatever. But in the game, there is, when you engage in starship stuff, you take on roles.
Yeah.
Everybody takes on a role. And there are special actions that you can take based on your role. And they generally involve cool stuff you can do, but it costs spirit to do it.
Okay.
So it's limited. But it's kind of cool stuff that's kind of themed toward what a captain does or what a pilot does or what the engineer does, what the tactical officer does, what the gunner does.
Very nice. I also like that you have a character details section in here of things to think about that are kind of optional to look into. A lot of people don't think about that sort of stuff when they kind of do, but they're not really pointing that out, right? Which is really cool to see. What are your favorite things? What are hated things that your character hates to see or interact with?
Yeah.
Are they in love?
What aren't they good at?
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah. I really love these characters.
These characters are really fun.
Our poor long-suffering leader here. I feel like given the fact that you are the only person that has any experience to anything, that we are these bright-eyed youths, going to change the world, and
yeah,
you're going to drive me up the wall.
Yeah, I would watch this show though.
Yeah,
absolutely. 100%. Oh, this was so good.
Oh, that's very good. I like this a lot.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed creating the character. I mean, I get it that you two enjoy creating characters in general, hence the podcast.
We've been found out, Ryan.
I know. What?
The day that we'll all be able to tell when they have stopped caring about creating characters because the podcast will suddenly end.
Right, exactly. Yeah. No, I just always love seeing it all come together and, going into a game and being I have no idea how I'm going to, do this or what's going to come out of it.
Yeah.
And, I just love the process at the end being look at this little guy I made. I'm so proud with them.
I do as well. I love watching. I love session zeros when if I run a campaign and you get together for session zero and I don't get a chance to play often, so I'm often GMing, and it's often GMing my own games to play test. But I do very much enjoy watching, seeing that coalesce.
Yeah.
Seeing the characters start from I kind of have a couple of ideas. And then by the time you get to the end, it's like we've got this nicely rounded group where, and there's already, group dynamics built in. We figured out character relationships. So we all have something to start from. And I enjoy seeing that. It's fun to see no matter what as a GM. It is especially satisfying to see it happen with a game that I've designed, to see people they took all the thing, hey, look at this. I actually put together a game that you can put a character together. And people are digging it and they're into it. And they've created these really interesting people that, a couple hours ago didn't exist in this world.
Exactly.
And now they do. And even if, you and I never get a chance to play these characters, it is entirely possible that one or both of these characters that you've just created will become NPCs somewhere down the road in this game or in a future game of some other sort. The concepts might become something. And that's always a lot of fun too.
Absolutely.
Because, we all know the GMs love to mine ideas from, various sources. So
Absolutely.
I pull ideas from podcasts about completely different games.
Yeah. Please take them. You can have them. Is there anything that you want people to know about this character creation process before we kind of close out this portion?
No, I think we covered it all pretty well. Like I said, I'll reiterate from the top. One of the things I very much tried to do with this, and I do this with a lot of the character creation when there's more robust character creation like this, is there's only a few things that are dependent upon something else. So you can very much take this kind of in the order that you want to take things. Like the only thing that really has to come after something is you don't do your channelings until you've picked your affinity. You don't determine your calculated scores until you've chosen your traits, assigned your traits, so you don't get your defense and discipline and health. But everything else you can bounce around. So for groups that want to be let's just get the stats nailed down, let's figure out what the characters are able to do mechanically, and then we'll give them personalities that fit all of that. You can do it in that order.
Yeah. Well, I want to say thank you for joining us for our Cosmic Corsairs character creation episodes. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this. And now that we're best friends from making this podcast.
We are.
Do you want to remind everybody where they can find you online and where they can find this game? Because I think this will be coming out, during the Kickstarter now will be officially running.
Yeah. Right in the middle of it.
Right. So if all goes as planned with the scheduling, the Kickstarter is live right now. It started on October 7th. It'll run until the first Thursday, I think, in November. So there's still time to go check it out. With any luck, it will be funded. There's a lot of cool options for levels to which you can get into it. Like if you just I want to just kind of dip my toe in, you can grab the PDF. If you want to be this game sounds awesome and I'm going to get all the stuff and I want it all in a box and I want physical stuff that I can touch with my grimy little hands, you can do that too. Because some people that's what they want. It's not a game for me unless I can hold it and I can put it in my bag and it can get all beat up. And
I was going to say I wasn't that person, but then I remembered what my living room looks like.
And to keep in mind, you can pop into nerdburgergames.com. And if you look up at the top, there's little links to a bunch of different stuff, including a Discord community that Nerdburger Games has where, and we always get an influx of new people into the Discord when there's a Kickstarter and in the month or two following it, as I remind people that there is a Discord. And also people, we tend to get an influx of people talking about the things they're excited about for that game, or when they get their hands on the quick starter of the game itself and they start talking about we had our first game session and we did this and this. So with any luck, fingers crossed, this will turn into like a whole series of games, and we'll explore all sorts of corners of this solar system and all sorts of interesting things that are going on. And there'll be all sorts of fun discussion that take place in that community. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm sure by the time this comes out, it's fully funded and you've made millions of dollars. So.
Fingers crossed. I'd be happy with funded.
Yep. One step at a time.
Yeah, we'll see about zillions.
Well, thank you again. And thank you to everybody for listening. Please join us on the next episode for our discussion block. Call to action.
Yeah, like that. We are recording this in a room together.
We are.
There's truck sounds.
There are truck sounds. There are sounds of a hotel. We are at Madison, Wisconsin at GameholeCon. And I'm really thrilled that we finally got a chance to record our cold open together for this series to get your thoughts on Cosmic Corsairs.
Yeah.
And your new best friend, Craig.
Yes. Well, big shout out to my new best friend, Craig. We did mention your name in a panel this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So, a room of about 8 or 10 other people heard your name, and I did mention that we were best friends. Mm-hmm. So, you have to stick to that now. Because I already told people. No, I really enjoyed the character creation with this one. I think that it's really timely for, what's kind of going on in life generally. I think I'm really excited to get to the discussion part of this one.
It was really good.
I will admit that I think a lot of the discussion that we had with this was really where it was at for me, for sure. So absolutely. Hyping people up for next week. I don't need to hype people up for the episode that they just listened to.
I know, right?
I need to hype them up for next week. We got some really great design discussion. I know. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And I am going to have that edited later this week, finally. So for those patrons that are getting the early releases, it's going to be a little bit later of an early release because we had a convention to prepare for.
It's true. I don't know if you can tell from our voice. I can feel it in my voice, but it's not quite.
Yeah, I think I'm a slight register lower than I normally am because of all the talking. But so before our voices go even more, and before we let you go for the day, we do have some calls to action.
First up, the Kickstarter for Cosmic Corsairs is in full swing and has already been funded. It's also already passed its first 2 stretch goals, which unlocked form-fillable character sheets and form-fillable PDF starship sheets to help make everything, a little more accessible for everybody. They are at, what did I say, just around 8,000 almost as of, Saturday night. So about $1,000 to go to the last stretch goal, which is form-fillable GM tracker sheets.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
So that would be super helpful. But as of right now, if you back the game, you've got a guaranteed game. So that's pretty exciting. We'll have a link in the show notes, and that'll take you right to the campaign. And it sounds like there's going to be a lot more stuff coming for this game based on our discussion with Craig too. So this is, you back this one, and it sounds like they'll have other supplements and cool things out in the future too. So a game that'll continue being supported by.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what comes out in the future on this one.
Yeah,
absolutely. In other news, we do have an update on our Undying Bonds live stream. It is now planned for the 29th of October, which is the last Wednesday of October. This gives Amelia time to get some family things in order and leaves some room for our voices to recover from the convention, as you can probably hear. It will be at 6:30 p.m. Central Time on the One Shot Network Twitch channel at twitch.tv/OneShotRPG.
Aside from that, we would love it if you checked out our C3 Patreon at patreon.com/charactercreationcast. Our website upgrades for this new series are in full swing, and we are really grateful to have Fiona from What Am I Rolling, another fabulous One Shot Network show, helping out behind the scenes there. But we are just ever so slightly behind our funding goal to get to that original $160 goal. And I would love for us to be able to order some enamel pins to send out to our campaign level patrons. So if you can help us get to that goal, we can get those mailed out to everybody.
It's very exciting. So close. More swag. And if we get to that $200 a month goal, not only will that unlock yearly subscriptions for our supporters at a discount, it also means that we can afford to pay Fiona a little bit more every single month to update the backlog of games on our site as well. And we can hopefully maybe get there by the end of the year with just like 4 or 5 more campaign level backers and be good to go.
Yeah. I mean, and you get all kinds of fun things. If you join at the campaign level, you get new stickers. For every month. They don't get sent out every month. They get kind of batch sent, but you do get one for every month that you're a patron, including one of every sticker that we still have on hand, which as of right now is all of them. I do still have extras. So you get all of the previous 25-ish stickers. You also get a set of 3d6 Character Creation Cast branded Chessex dice. We've been giving those out at the con this weekend too, and people are really excited by them and the pretty colors and everything.
Absolutely. So
you can get some too. And a personalized thank you note card from the both of us, handcrafted by me in my kitchen, as well as many other perks. That is all for $10 a month. And it goes a long way toward helping us create a one-stop shop for any games that we cover on the show. So information about the guests, the games, all that kind of stuff. We also have tiers at the $5 level, which gets you the dice and the thank you card and bonus episodes, as well as the $1 level that gets you various perks, our occasional chit chat episode, which we did record one this weekend.
We sure did.
Bonus outtakes. But you can head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/charactercreationcast and get all of that info.
In addition to all of that, we do like to thank our current patrons every single episode. Your support truly helps out a great deal. So let's do that right now. Lieutenant DJG, aka Tigranosaurus, and Eric Bonds, our deepest thanks.
Daryl Holiday II, Shadim Cabal, and the Shyest Barbarian, we can't thank you enough, but we will continue trying every week.
Benjamin Sweeney, Rob Fletcher, and Kevin Brown, thanks for believing in us.
Tentacle Duck, John Adamus, and A3 Sketchpad, thank you all.
Carlos Salazar, Eric S., and Ian Potmeyer, we can't thank you enough, but we'll also keep trying.
Liam G., Brian Colm, and the Garden GM, thank you all so much.
Tanglefoot, Blue Kryptonite, and Danny, thanks for helping us make the show.
Nicole Trainer, Liam Murray, and Kenning, you shouldn't have, but honestly, we're pretty glad you did, because now we can update our website.
Brian Kurtz, Mark E. Fair, and Drew Owen, you're the best. Thank you.
Oz, Sean Metcalf, and Robert, we are grateful that you are with us and listening.
Kevin Bates, Deadly Edley, and Allison Cole, many thanks to all of you.
And finally, we appreciate your support, Blue Scholar. Thank you.
And thank you to all of our future patrons. If you want to join this phenomenal group of individuals, please head on over to patreon.com/charactercreationcast and help us out. And with more assistance, we'll be able to make even more website upgrades. And if you want to join the discussion with our hosts, some of our guests, and a bunch of fans, head on over to our Discord at discord.charactercreationcast.com.
Finally, if you want to help us out in another way that does not require any dollars at all, you can leave a rating or review for our show on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, or Podcast Addict. We read all of our 5-star reviews right on the show as we get them. And, as we also have time to sit down and talk to each other like we're doing literally right now.
I know. And we don't have a review to read, unfortunately.
No.
So you can rectify that by leaving one, and then we'll be able to read it next time if you're the first one to do so.
Yes.
Wonderful.
You're next in line, so go ahead and do it.
Exactly. That's all we have for today's episode. Join us here next time when we get into our discussion with Craig about the Cosmic Corsairs character creation process. Until then, take care, everyone. Stay safe, drink some water, and keep making those amazing people. We'll see you next time. Character Creation Cast is a production of the One Shot Podcast Network and can be found online at www.charactercreationcast.com. Head to the website to get more information on our hosts, this show, and even our press kit. Character Creation Cast can also be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at CreationCast, or on our Discord server at discord.charactercreationcast.com. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Bolter, and I can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at Lord Neptune or online at lordneptune.com. Our other host, Amelia Antrim, can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at Ginger Reckoning. Music for this episode is used with a Creative Commons license or with permission from the podcast they originated from. Further information can be found within the show notes. Our main theme music is Hero Remix by Steve Combs and is used with a Creative Commons license. This podcast is owned by us under Creative Commons. This episode was edited by Ryan Bolter. Further information for the game systems used and today's guests can also be found in the show notes. If you'd like to support our show, find us on Patreon. Get access to bonus episodes, exclusive merch, and much more at patreon.com/charactercreationcast. Thanks for joining us. And remember, we find that the best part of any role-playing game is character creation. So go out there and create some amazing people. We'll see you next time.